Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. So in the survey that we recently had people do, people were kind enough to give us all sorts of kinds of feedback. And one person who, listen, I do not blame this person at all, but it made me laugh, said, sometimes I just feel like you guys gab too much and you don't just get to the point and just say, here are the facts, and then move through them and then wrap it up. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. And I think your interest in this podcast could be slightly misplaced because gabbing is kind of the deal.
Welcome to Clarity on Fire. This is what we do.
I really don't mean to piss you off, but I can't stop gabbing because everyone else, I think, kind of likes it.
I think we can be interesting in our ridiculously sometimes.
I mean, I don't think I'm that ridiculous. I mean, I think I just like to keep it spicy, you know? Okay. Anyway, don't, for fear of gabbing too much, let me get to the point, which is that here's a blog, an old blog, a throwback blog, if you will, from Kristen.
From 2017.
Okay. About trusting your damn self.
Well,
the future version of that.
The future version of yourself. So this is for all of you guys who are thinking 18 steps ahead all of the time. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this thing that's 3 years down the road, or that's 12 steps ahead. And
or
you just freak out because you're trying to control things that you're not anywhere close to trying to do yet.
Yes. So this happens all the time. It's one of the most common things we have to coach people around. It often is manifest as, well, I don't think I can do that because they haven't figured out how to do the thing that's 25 steps ahead. And so they think I can't take the first step if I don't know how to do step 25.
Exactly.
That happens all the time.
Yep.
And it's a big problem.
It is. And this is, I want to just reframe the whole thing today to give you a little bit of peace of mind and remind you why you just should stop freaking out just because you don't know all of the steps before you get started.
Yeah. Okay. We will be back at the end to wrap this up and to give you some recommendations for further listening if this subject is one you need a little bit more of assistance with, right? A little bit more of assistance is not grammatically correct. I know that. I just need you to know that I know that. All right.
How you can stop freaking out about not knowing the future. My dad is fond of teasing my mom about how, back when they were in college, she would buy all of her school books, take them home, and immediately flip to the back of each book. As she glanced through the final chapters of each textbook, she would get more and more anxious. Eventually, fighting back tears, she'd throw her hands up and say, "I don't understand any of this. I'm never going to make it through these classes." My dad would always chuckle and reassure her by saying, "Of course you don't understand the stuff in the back of the book. That's why you're taking this class, so that by the time you get there, you do know how to do all of it." We all laugh about this story now. It's one of those Thanksgiving table stories that gets told over and over again. But as I've gotten older, I realized that this story isn't just a funny family anecdote. It's actually a great analogy for what most of us do all the time. We're all peeking into the back of the book, trying to figure out what's coming and how we're going to handle it, and getting overwhelmed by everything we don't know yet. I'm guilty of this. Last week, I read a story about school bullying, and later that day, I caught myself worrying about how I'm going to handle it if my kids experience bullying. Mind you, I don't have kids. In fact, I'm so far away from being ready to have kids, much less school-aged kids who are old enough to potentially be bullied, that it's ridiculous for me to be worrying about this now. And yet, there I was, worrying about kids that don't even exist yet. I had to stop and remind myself, stop looking in the back of the book, Kristen. You don't need to know how to handle this right now. By the time I do have kids old enough to possibly experience bullying, I'll be far more equipped to handle that situation. I'll be older and wiser, plus I'll have years of parenting experience under my belt. Future Kristen is way more qualified to figure this out than present-day Kristen is. I should really leave this one to her. An impossible jigsaw puzzle. A client of mine wants to start her own business. She's come to me with a few different ideas by now, and every time she gets excited about a new business concept, she immediately skips 20 steps ahead to why it won't work because she has no idea how to do X, Y, or Z, things she wouldn't have to do for months or even years down the road. For example, I can't start a bakery because I have no idea how to hire employees and figure out compensation and benefits and all that. It's too hard. I should just scrap the idea. Or, I can't open a coding school for girls because how would I structure it? And where would I host it? And who would I get to teach them? And how much would I charge? I can't do this. I told her that by trying to figure everything out immediately after having the idea, it was like trying to complete an 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. Not only is it not possible, it's maddening. She was driving herself crazy trying to answer questions that she couldn't possibly answer right then. And she kept shutting down great ideas because she didn't yet have a crystal clear picture of how it would all work out. I get why she did this. On one level, it doesn't make much sense to skip to the back of the book and fret about things we can't possibly understand yet. We all logically know that that kind of worrying is useless. But on a deeper emotional level, it makes perfect sense why we all do it. Because the unknown is really scary. And in the face of it, we all want to feel some semblance of solid ground. My mom was a brand new college student on an unfamiliar campus trying to navigate a new, scarily independent phase of her life. Looking in the back of her textbooks and trying to get a handle on her classes before they even started was her way of trying to regain some small sense of control. I see parenting as this amazing, wild, unpredictable adventure where there's no textbook on how to handle challenging situations. So by trying to figure out what I'll do in the most complicated moments years in advance, it's my mind's way of trying to make parenthood seem less overwhelming. My client is just as scared of entrepreneurship as she is excited about it, as are most entrepreneurs I know. So in an attempt to quell her fear of failure, she tries to create a mental 50-page business plan immediately after an idea pops into her mind. We're all trying to use figuring things out as a balm for fear of the unknown. But fear doesn't go away just because you figured everything out in advance. Fear dissolves when you trust yourself enough to figure it out when you get there. Future you has got this on lock. You're much better off trusting future you to handle what's coming. Future you is just as smart and capable as present day you, but with far more information, experience, and resources. When you start really trusting your future self, the unknown doesn't seem nearly as scary because you know you'll be able to handle whatever comes your way. If you're having trouble letting go of control in the moment and trusting future you, here are a few ways to boost your self-trust muscle. Collect proof. Compile a list of all the times when you weren't sure how to do something, or even if you could do it at all, but in the end, you figured it out and everything turned out fine. When you can remind yourself that you faced the unknown before and come out unscathed, you build trust in your own resourcefulness. Start small. Ask yourself, what's something I can do now to help prepare future me to be able to handle this situation if or when it happens? This shifts your energy from trying to plan out every detail of your future to what small step you can take right now to move in the right direction, which is way more manageable. Recognize your progress. Think back on yourself 2, 5, or 10 years ago. How much wiser are you now than that previous version of yourself? How much have you grown? Now, project that forward and consider how much more you'll have learned and experienced in the next 2, 5, or 10 years. Future you is pretty damn wise. Don't you want that version of yourself figuring out things on your behalf? So tell me, what in your life have you been worrying about that you want to let future you figure out instead? Share with me in the comments.
Okay, every once in a while, I want to take a minute to highlight episodes from the past.
We have over 100 to choose from now.
So many. So it's a crime that you aren't listening to some of these episodes. And I am saying that from a completely biased perspective, obviously. But if you're new to this podcast, there is you could have an infinite amount of listening time. There's just so much stuff that you'll probably never catch up on. And which makes me sad because we've really done some mic drop worthy things, I think, over the past year.
At least we think so.
Well, I think so. And you know what? That's what matters. So
instead of you having to wade back through over 100 previous episodes, we want to give you a few that are particular to this topic. So if you're like, ooh, that's definitely me. I'm always trying to control the future. Need a little bit more help with letting that go. These are the ones that you should listen to next.
Yeah, here's some hot tips for you. Okay, so one is an interview with a normal person from September 2018. It's called Finding a Dream Job After Years of Searching with Tianka Shepard. I put that one on the list because it's a lot about having to have faith that things are going to work out and having no idea exactly how you're going to get there. So obviously, super relevant. Another one. Okay, this is maybe one of the favorite ones we've ever done. Like, if I had to put this on my favorites list, this would be on it.
It's the kind of our trippiest one, too, but in the best way.
Well, obviously, now you just gave away why it's my favorite. But yeah, it's a side chat called A Mind-Blowing Time-Bending Analogy, which is from October 2018. Well, that one really is about trusting that things are going to work out. But I'm not going to give away what we talk about because it's so deep and kind of esoteric, but like also really fun that you'll just get it once you listen to it.
This
just
is
trust.
The AP version of what I talked about today.
Okay. Yeah.
Same with this next one, actually. Our bonus book club from November 2018, Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver. Mm-hmm. That one is also about trusting that things are working out, releasing control because you're not the master of the universe, and you don't always know what's best in the long run.
Then you should just read the whole book because if I've talked about Outrageous Openness once, I've talked about it 8,000 times now.
We've definitely sent some business Tosha's way.
She
totally deserves it.
And then the last one is a fun one. It's called Predicting the Future the Right Way with Madeline Joan. And that one's from December 2018. We had our friend Madeline on, who is an astrologist. She's a tarot reader. She's really intuitive. She is killer. I mean, she's just so good at what she does. And so good and so fun and so relatable. Yeah. So if you're into any of that stuff I just said, she walked us through a lot of the different facets of predicting the future, quote unquote, and how to actually do it and then how to, avoid some common missteps. And also she gave us a little bit of a preview of 2019. It's still pretty early in 2019. So that's relevant. So enjoy any and all of those episodes.
Yeah, we got a lot to choose from.
Okay.
So we will be back with you on Friday with a new Dear Rachel.
Yeah.
We got some good questions on that one, too.
I mean, what am I going to say? We got meh questions and they were not fun. Actually, I'm not ever going to say that. But I'm not lying when I say these were really good and that this is one of maybe the best and most favorite Dear Rachels we've done to date.
Yeah. So definitely come back and hang out with us on Friday.
I'm really full of it today, aren't I?
You are.
Like bragging and
a little sassy today.
Well, you know what? That's good, right? Take some sass if you need it. I'm just sprinkle some sass on everyone, all right? I know some of you could use it.
And sass for you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.